What's up? This is iPwnedades doing a review for Archantar, playing Torture. Starting off, we're going to go over your items. Looks like you started off with Crushing Claws, Mark of the Novice, 2 branches, and some regen. Kind of standard side lane for a lot of range intelligence. However, looking across the board at your team, you're probably the best hero to support on this team. I personally hate Torture in a support role. He's very item dependent, and he's one of the strongest heroes in the game. But due to your teammates' picks, I think you should be in the supporting role, which means 2 wards. They do have a Devourer, so it's usually a good idea for the mid hero to buy a single observation ward, which Thunderbringer actually did, so that you have sight of the Devourer up the hill so he can't hook you. So you should at least have 1 ward to block the pull down there, perhaps instead of the 2 minor totems. Action actually starts off right away. You guys come to the lane, and you're a little afraid of where they are. Lo and behold, they're actually right behind you. For some reason, Swiftblade doesn't spin, has boots first, and just starts auto-attacking Raw. I'm not really sure what was going on with that Swiftblade, but you actually should have been dead. The poison, a few auto-attacks, and a spin, especially with boots, and you're pretty much a goner. Sometimes stuff like that is kind of hard to avoid. I mean, it's kind of cheesy, but not much you can do, to be honest. Now, if Raw was correct here, he should have gotten his stun at level 1, and that stun you just put on Monarch was really good, and should have netted you a kill. But in general, just be a little careful. If Swiftblade's going to wait, he's going to either wait in the outpost or over here where you pinged. If you stay in the middle of the lane, you can generally see them coming. It might not have mattered with Monarch Swiftblade, but at least you get a little bit of a jump on him. Just a minute later, we see you kind of checking out Monarch on the side over here. A really nice stun that Swiftblade barely manages to dodge, but you get off the impalement and kite him around enough and actually get a kill on Swiftblade. You do a really nice job, you know, not taking too much damage and staying in the fight enough to kill the Swiftblade. You might have been able to go for the Monarch, but I think the safe play there, you kill the carry and net yourself a kill. You know, there's not really anything wrong with that. Alright, right now you just netted 200 gold, finished your Blood Chalice, and went to the shop and bought a mana battery. If we look at it back at base, it's past 2-minute mark, and you guys still have a walking courier. Like I said, you're probably the best hero to support on this team, and Thunderbringer is going to need that bottle. Making it a flying courier helps all the lanes, helps you bring items down, including maybe some mana regen or something like that, so you can better survive this lane and stay in there. So that's one thing. I don't think a mana barrier is very good, especially against Swiftblade. I mean, he has 1 ability, pretty much, and it's all of his mana pool and on a long cooldown. So, probably wouldn't have gone with this choice. Maybe consider trying to fly the courier when you have 200 extra gold. Alright, I'm gonna resume play here right as Swiftblade and Monarch go on Raw. Now, Swiftblade makes a pretty big mistake and kind of gets juked by Raw. Makes a huge meteor, and then you actually get a nice kill on Monarch. The one thing I would have liked to see you do differently is right before you kill Monarch, you can see that in the next auto attack here you're going to get her. Right before that hits, or maybe even right as you're casting it, use your Blood Chalice. It gives you the mana, and it's going to restore all of the HP that it takes away. It's pretty much just free mana, and you know you're going to get the kill. Turns out you snag a nice kill. And now, with the Blood Chalice, you would have had enough to stun here, and maybe even get a kill on Swiftblade. But in the end, you got a kill on Monarch, and Ra survived in the lane, so good job. Here we are, Ra's gone off to the jungle now, kind of left you alone. Monarch goes on you, Swiftblade spins on you, and you're pretty much going to die here. You did do a good job of getting Impalement off. Took them both down to half HP, but here I would have rather see you leech some XP by sitting in the fog over here. It's better to just get XP and no creeps than to die to the Swiftblade and give him your serial killer streak. You know, that helps him out a lot in both XP and gold, where you could have just leached XP here out of sight, It's still, sure, you're getting denies and no creep kills, but I'm not really sure why Ra left you. But that's better than dying, at least. Alright, now again, you're solo by yourself, and 3 people are missing from the map. You got Devourer missing, Monarch missing, and Swiftblade missing. But you do decide to stay up for creep kills. Swiftblade comes out from the side on the left, and you miss your stun. Here, a lot of people would panic, but you know the amount of damage that Impalement does. Turn around and get the kill on Swiftblade. Really good job. One of the best things you can do is know your hero's damage and the damage that another hero is going to do. So you made a really, really nice play there, taking out Swiftblade, who was a little too overconfident with a spin. Alright, you head over here in the woods, just kind of scout things out. Find Swiftblade, and he spins on you. However, you do have phase boots, so you are able to get away. Here, you kind of cut up and get just in range of his ultimate. I would have instead liked to see you line of sight him a little bit, maybe taking advantage of Impalement's damage. Here, maybe cut down under the tree line. You can see Monarch is being pulled away by Ra, not to mention you're going towards Ra. Or if you want to play it safe, you actually just run a straight line, at least while your phase boots are activated, and you have a move speed advantage on him. Even when the phase boots wear off, you still do. So generally, if you're trying to run out of range of something like Swiftblade's ultimate, just run in a straight line and then cut up. Rather than if you see right here, you cut up and that little bit gives him enough room to get in range. Alright, we're at the end of the game now. I just want to kind of go over a full review of the entire game, how you did, and everything like that. The first thing I do want to discuss is your skill build. I personally would have done it a little differently, but I think it was okay. The one thing I did like a lot was that you skilled Impalement first in a lane against a Swiftblade. We saw that work multiple times and really did wonders for you. Although that was a really good decision. The one thing I would have done differently is probably left the stun at level 1 and leveled Agonizing Bonds instead. Generally, the stun duration only increased, I think, 3/4 of a second over the next 3 levels, and the damage for Agonizing Bonds is better, the cooldown's lower, and it gives you that pull, which is really great for hitting your stun on multiple people or pulling people into Ra's stun. So that's the one thing I would have done differently. Aside from that, I thought your item build was pretty good. I personally prefer Steam Boots on Torturer or Post Haste, but I think Phase Boots is pretty good against Swiftblade, and a lot of people prefer it on Torturer, so that's okay. I maybe would have carried a Teleport Scroll a little bit sooner, but you guys are generally on the offensive, and you didn't really need to TP counter gank that often, so I think you're okay there as well. In most regards. The one thing I would have done, work on if I was you, is map awareness. Oftentimes when you died, if it was outside of a team fight, it was because you were kind of exploring into fog, running off to the side to see what they were doing. And generally it's a little better to have just kind of look at the minimap and see what's going on. The biggest problem with your game was you did almost no support. I'm not sure what the team dynamic was between you guys, discussing who was supposed to support and ward and stuff like that, but you definitely should have been buying wards throughout the game, even on Torturer. I know it sucks because he's such a powerful hero, especially with items, but I think in this situation you should have been buying wards, flying the courier instead of buying a mana battery, stuff like that. But you guys did win the game. I thought you made some pretty good individual plays, but I think the main thing I would do differently is look at your team, determine the best role for you for that team, and then play based on that. But otherwise, I thought you played pretty well, and you guys did quite well against a Swiftblade lane, Swiftblade Monarch lane, which is not easy to do. So good job, and see you in the next Learnhouse. You couldn't even believe I would stand in line for this.